My name's Nathan Crago. I'm a person in long-term recovery. I got clean January 19th, 2002. Um, Today, I'm a father, a son, an employee, soon to be a college graduate with my master's degree in mental health counseling, and just a responsible, productive member of society.
Yeah. Well, thanks for so much for coming out and joining us, and congratulations. When's your graduation date?
End of August.
Okay, very
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
That's fantastic. Well, good stuff. So, starting off, can you tell us a bit about your childhood?
Yeah, so I grew up in Dayton, Ohio. I have one biological sister. My parents got divorced when I was about two and a half. So grew up living with my mom and my sister mostly. My mom remarried um, and then remarried again. We moved around a few times, changed schools. Um, I had everything I needed and most of what I wanted. Nothing crazy, nothing abusive. Dad's got his own issues. He's what we might call a functioning alcoholic.
Okay.
But nonetheless, he did the best he could with what he had.
Gotcha. And when did you start experimenting with alcohol or drugs?
Probably around 12 or 13. Um, Swiped a couple little airplane bottles of vodka from mom and went to the woods and drank them.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you have any do you remember that feeling when you first started drinking? Was there any?
Yeah, it was great. I thought I had kind of found the missing piece of the puzzle. It was like the thought was like I need to do this as much as possible.
Okay. Gotcha. So, would you say that the mental obsession had kicked in at that point in time yet?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Even from a young age, just those thoughts of like, how can I make that happen again? Where am I going to get it from? How am I going to put it into my body without getting caught? All that kind of stuff. And it's a little harder at 12 or 13
Yeah.
years old, but nonetheless, we made arrangements. I can remember putting water in many liquor bottles growing up to substitute what had been taken, and
Right.
so
Okay. So, can you share with us kind of how your disease progressed?
yeah. So at one point in there, I experimented with marijuana, and of course I liked that, and my solution to not really being able to afford as much marijuana as I wanted to smoke was I started selling it. If you sold a little bit, you could smoke more, and got involved in that scene, and as a result of that, got introduced to more different drugs and pills. Specifically like benzos and painkillers, and didn't really know what I was getting into at the time. To me, it was just a good time. It was a buzz. It made me feel good, and I didn't really understand, addiction or, possible consequences of any of it. I was just young and having a good time.
So, could you maybe share with us one or two stories of what your, full active addiction was like?
Well, so towards the end of it, it was all day, every day. I eventually got introduced to heroin. It started with Oxycontin, and then the Oxycontin, wasn't as plentiful, and it was more expensive and harder to get. And somebody introduced me to heroin, and from a financial standpoint, it made more sense. It was easier to get. It did the same thing, even better. Um, and then by the time I realized that it had gotten a hold of me, it was too late.
Okay.
By the time I realized or I understood physical addiction, it was too late. So I got very desperate. It got very lonely, got very painful. I was pretty isolated by the time things got pretty bad. I had a child at the time. Him and his mom had moved out and left me where I was. My mom was pretty disappointed. I can remember at one point sitting on the edge of my bed, sticking a gun in my mouth, really just fed up with it all, and not knowing about a way out, or if there was a way out, or if I was going to make it out. I had kind of figured it was going to run its course. I might live to see 30 if I was lucky, but it was going to be a long, miserable road. So at some point, Mom got involved and kind of helped me connect with treatment. I just really didn't have the capacity at the time. The treatment center that I went through was big on 12-step recovery. We went to 12-step meetings every night, or some nights they came in. So early recovery, like after I got out of treatment, was all about, doing that 90 meetings in 90 days, staying hooked up with other people that are clean, avoiding, the old people, places, and things, and just the things that I had been hearing in the meetings for the 60, 70 days that I was in there. I definitely didn't do it perfectly. I was 22 when I got clean, and struggled with certain aspects of it. But I went to a lot of meetings. I didn't drive, so a lot of times that meant getting on the bus, calling people, getting rides, that kind of stuff. So.
Having that willingness is so very important.
Yeah, and quite honestly, I didn't have a whole lot else going on at the time. So, I went to a lot of meetings. By any means necessary.
Mm-hmm. So could you maybe talk about those things that you struggled with and how you worked through them?
It was all major life-changing stuff for me. So, really every aspect of it. Like, I had never been a responsible, productive member of society before. So, I didn't even know how to write a check and pay a bill when I got clean. So, learning that, something as simple as calling DP&L and getting the power set up in my name, was, so.
And how did your relationships then change? What did you do to rebuild trust?
I just did what I said I was going to do. That was the main thing. I don't know that you really have to do anything special as much as just people know. People know when you're about the right thing. You show up when you're supposed to. You make eye contact. You talk about normal people things.
Right.
And people just know. And I think when they see that happening in your life, I think the people closest to us want to trust us again. And in most cases, it seems like that came back pretty quickly with me just doing the next right thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I appreciate the fact that you said it's nothing special. But it's the stopping manipulating, stopping to try and game people, and really being honest.
Yeah.
That's a huge change.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, just being authentic, and because they do watch, and they do check, and they, if things are checking out for long enough, it just kind of happens organically.
Right.
Really.
And how do you maintain your sobriety today?
I still do the things that I did in early recovery. I still have a home group. I still have a sponsor that I work steps with. I still do service work. I still read, the literature that I read. I don't do as much. I have a very busy life today as a result of recovery, being a full-time employee and a full-time student and a parent, and but I still hit a couple meetings a week. I still do all the stuff. I sponsor guys. So not a lot has changed, honestly.
Could you talk about some of the intangible and tangible gifts that you've received in recovery?
Yeah, so the intangible, is really the main one is just peace of mind. I don't have to be looking over my shoulder. I don't have to be covering my tracks with lies. I don't have to be, fearful and insecure. And, it's just a lot of overall peace and serenity and happiness most days, Don't have to fake it anymore. It's real. The tangible stuff. I mean, I've become a homeowner. I've graduated. I got my associate's degree, my bachelor's degree, working on my master's degree. I have a credit score and a retirement plan, and might sound crazy to maybe a normal person.
Mm-hmm.
But somebody who was, a hardcore drug addict figured they'd be dead by 30 to be sitting here as a homeowner with a retirement plan and a credit score. And, there's a motorcycle in the garage and a truck in the driveway, and they all have the right plates on them. And,
Right, absolutely.
Nothing's stolen. And I get to take vacations with my family and do fun things and, just genuinely live and enjoy life.
Could you talk a little bit about the relationship with your son?
My son committed suicide
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
January 27th of this year.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
He had his own stuff. He suffered from depression, anxiety, and apparently some alcoholism that I wasn't aware of. So, that was a very sad time. But in all this, from a previous relationship, I now have a daughter, not biologically mine. She's still my daughter. I raised her from a young age. She's 14 now. She considers me her dad. Me and her mother aren't together anymore, but we're still civil and get along for the most part. The beauty in all of it is that through none of it I considered picking back up. It was a very difficult day. I had to put my dog to sleep. I had him for 14 years, and I had to put him to sleep, and I got home from doing that and got the call about my son.
Oh my.
And so didn't consider picking up through any of it. It just doesn't make sense anymore.
Right. Right. What have you learned from your addiction?
It's not just drugs. It runs deep, and for me it has to be treated ongoing, or my life gets unmanageable quickly.
Right.
And I truly believe that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. What words of hope could you share with someone who's trying to get sober?
That if you choose, you can, and if you do, you will get a life that you never thought possible. That's been my experience. At one point I thought, okay, I'll get clean and just kind of have a mediocre, boring, kind of hold on for dear life, kind of desperate, miserable life. And it's not been anything like that. It's been blessing after blessing after blessing. I've achieved goals that I never would have even considered before. I've done things and gone places and met people and had experiences that I just never would have dreamed of. And it's really all a result of, staying clean one day at a time and doing the next right thing, practicing the courage, the faith, the hope, the integrity, the self-discipline, that we learn through the 12 steps. It's just, unfortunately, a lot of people give up before it gets real good. And so don't give up. It's been an amazing journey. That treatment center that saved my life, I went back to work at 2 years later, and now it's 18 years later, and I'm the director.
Wow, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So If I can do that, anything's possible.
Absolutely.
So,
Well, thank you so much for coming out and joining us and sharing your story, taking the time. Your story is definitely going to help somebody out there that really needs it. So
that's all I can hope for.
thank you so much.
You're welcome.